As a general rule, the severity of the punishment is indicative of the seriousness of the violation. One of the anomalies in this regard relates to the prohibitions regarding marrying out, and possibly for this reason. This prohibition is not specifically mentioned amongst the laws dealing with the arayot. In Vayikra 20, consequences for a violation of the laws of incest are recorded. In most cases, there is a death penalty by the courts, such as in Pasuk 11, Mot Yumatu Shnehem, the two people, if they are above 20 years of age, and with warning, violated the laws of arayot, and Dmei Bam, an added expression that their blood shall be upon their heads. In Pasuk 17, in the same perek, regarding an incestuous relationship between brother and sister, or for that matter even half-brothers and half-sisters, the Torah tells us that V'nichratu le'einei b'nei ha'amam, they both will receive a punishment of karet, avono yisa, they will carry to their dying day that sin. Yet, in dealing with exogamy, marrying out, the Rambam writes that if there is a situation of derech ishut within a marital relationship, the punishment is malkut, and in a non-marital relationship, the violation is merely rabbinical, which raises an interesting specter as to why marrying out has become the quintessential red line that up until recently was not tolerated within the Jewish community, where the consequences, and hence the severity from a punishment perspective, is on par with prohibitions against consumption of non-kosher food, larceny, and for that matter, most of the 365 mitzvot lo ta'aseh that do not attract a physical or spiritual death penalty. It is for this reason that in Halacha Zayin, the Rambam writes, Avon zeh, this sin of marrying out, Afal pi she'ein bo mitat beit din, even though there is no death penalty that can be administered by the beit din, nor it seems is there a punishment of karet, merely a lo ta'aseh violation, al yehei kal be'inecha. Nevertheless, writes the Rambam, this prohibition should not be treated as something kal, something of little importance in your eyes. Because, as he goes on to say, yesh bo hefsed she'ein b'chol ha'arayot kamoto. While on the one hand the punishment is far less than that caused by a normal arayot violation, in one aspect the consequences are far more severe in that shehaben min ha'erva, a child born from an incestuous relationship, is deemed to be a legal offspring, u'bichlal Yisrael nechshav, af al pi shehu mamzer. His mamzer status notwithstanding, that severely limits his or her choice of a marriage partner, that child is nevertheless considered to be a Yisrael, part of the nation. For example, can receive aliyot, is obligated to fulfill mitzvot, can be counted for a minyan. However, v'haben min hakutit, a child born of a non-Jewish female partner, Eino beno, is not legally considered in the eyes of halacha as his offspring, and is therefore not considered to be part of the Jewish community. In the pasuk that follows on from the command of Lo titchatein bam, the source for the prohibition against marrying out, we are informed ki yasir et bincha miacharai. Shorish for yasir is samach vav reish, to turn aside, to remove. In this case it's causative. He will cause your son to turn away from me, va'avdo Elohim achirim, replacing monotheism with polytheism, avodah zarah. V'chara'af Hashem bachem, God's anger will flare up against you, v'hishmidcha maher, and will cause you to quickly perish from the land. This, by the way, is the pasuk that midrashically we establish the concept of Jewish status passing through the mother and not through the father. This is based on a textual anomaly in comparing Pasuk 4 and Pasuk 3, the use of the word Yasir, he will turn away, rather than they will turn away. It is to this Pasuk that the Rambam refers when he writes Shene'emar, Ki Yasir et bincha me'acharai, adding his own comment that Meisir oto, the result of an intermarriage is that the child is encouraged to turn away from following the path of Torah and mitzvot. So while on the one hand the punishment for marrying out is less severe than that of the arayot, the long-term consequences is that there is a nituk that results in that when children are born, the connection between one's offspring and HaKadosh Baruch Hu becomes permanently severed.